Bypassing desire does not work. And not only does it not work, it causes a lot of problems. So, one of the central issues of religion or spirituality, especially spirituality that is seeking enlightenment or moksha or nirvana or communion with God, a lot of it centers around what to do with desire. And there's kind of this modern, like it's practically a meme at this point, that desire's bad. You need to let go of all of it, only focus on spiritual things. And it's actually really harmful. And actually, when you look at the root texts of a lot of these wisdom traditions, it's also untrue. I've dived really deeply into Vedic philosophy. Vedic is a fancy word for saying traditional Indian, traditional Hindu. Hindu's not really accurate. That's a Western word, but that's another story. And there's a lot of like neo-spiritual teachers out there, neo meaning modernized, non-traditional, who preach like this doctrine of dissociation. Like dissociate from your desires. Like if you have a desire, like just pray or just turn towards spirit, like make it go away. And it really doesn't work. And that's why there's all these various scandals with different neo-gurus. And I've been a part of a couple communities where the teachers or the spiritual communities, or supposedly spiritual communities, where the teacher and the students, like just horrific behavior. And so this whole thing of suppressing or ignoring desire, it just makes desire stronger. And it just makes desire come out in a sideways manner. The sideways meaning twisted or addictive or, this is all connected to the idea of spiritual bypass, of misusing spiritual teachings and practices to dissociate. In essence, to dissociate from our body, from feelings, from thoughts, from desires. And it always works in the short term. And it always has a price tag in the long term. So the best explanation I have heard of how to skillfully work with desires in a spiritual manner that doesn't involve spiritual bypass was from a traditional Vedic teacher. And very briefly, in Vedic philosophy, they say that there's 4 primary desires or drives for survival or accumulation of material things. That's considered 1. For pleasure, for dharma, it's a deep word, but in essence, you could say to become righteous and to do service. And then for mukti or moksha, for liberation, for ending suffering, for communion or union with God. And so the path is seen as moving towards dharma and mukti, dharma and moksha. Again, moksha meaning liberation or enlightenment, and dharma being virtue or righteousness. Like having those be the driving desires or drives in your life. However, the path to do that is not just ignore the desire for material things and survival, because like you need to earn money to eat, like we need food. And as I started in the beginning, and not to just bypass or dissociate from desire, because it doesn't work, and it kind of just twists the system up. It also makes you dishonest, and this is from my own experience. Like, for years I was like, enlightenment's the most important thing to me, when actually it wasn't. Like the most important thing to me was romantic sexual partnership, and like having a girlfriend, lover. Hopefully, like what I really wanted was like a life partner, sex, romance, partnership, and creativity. Like that's what was most important to me. But I did the whole spiritual bypass thing, and I'm like, enlightenment's the most important thing. So I just kind of like suppressed and ignored those desires, and it made me a dishonest, inauthentic person. Like I was always talking about spiritual things, but I was always thinking about like having a partner, having a lover, like creative projects, but it was like I was constantly trying to suppress them. And it put me at war with myself. So, um, so this teacher explained it to me so well. Is she said you don't ignore the desire for security and material things, and you don't ignore the desire for pleasure. You approach them. You find wholesome ways to satisfy them, because these things are seen not only in Vedic thought. These things are not only seen as natural, but the desire for pleasure and pleasant things is wise in a certain sense. And the desire to be able to provide for yourself or your family, that's also wise. And so the way she explained it, and she's a traditional Vedic guru, means she has extensive training, and she trained under a guru, who trained under a guru, who trained under a guru, is to find a healthy, wholesome, virtuous way to earn money. And to find healthy and wholesome and virtuous ways to meet that desire for pleasure, such as pleasurable hobbies that that actually uplift you. Like you can have a hobby of like going out and getting drunk, but and it's fun in the moment, but the next day, like you're actually like a weaker person because of it. Like it actually brings you down. And same thing with work. If you have a form of work of earning money that doesn't nourish you and actually nourish the world, then sure, you might have lots of money, but you're going to need to spend all your money on things to like de-stress from this job that makes you feel yucky. So the vision she presented, and it's a part of Vedic philosophy, it's integral really, is to bring dharma, to bring harmony into the desire for the desire and the need really for money and survival, and the need for pleasure and pleasant things. And so it's like this process of meeting those needs in a wholesome way, meeting those needs in a way that actually like makes you a better person and makes the world a better place. One example that really works for me is teaching dance and dancing. And so when I teach dance, it's so pleasurable. It rocks my world. And the form of dance I do is a partner dance. And so and it's just so enjoyable. And at the end of it, I feel uplifted, and my dance partners feel uplifted, or when I teach, my students feel uplifted. So it's this way of, when I teach, of earning money, and when I just go to dance, of, just enjoy for the enjoyment of it. So it's a way of meeting those needs that actually enriches me, actually makes the world a better place. And it's kind of a meditative form of dance to boot. So it actually not only blesses me in the world, but it moves me forward on the spiritual path. And that's the Vedic vision of you meet these needs in a way that actually moves you forward on the spiritual path. You could say you spiritualize the pursuit of money and survival, and you spiritualize the pursuit of pleasure. And by spiritualize, I mean a better way to say it is you dharma-ize. Dharma, again, being virtue or harmony. You make them harmonious activities that literally uplift the world. Like when I go to dance and I'm doing it because it's pleasurable and enjoyable, it literally uplifts the world and makes the world a better place. And when I teach dance, I earn money in a way that makes the world a better place. And so that's the vision of Dharma. And that's the vision of Vedic philosophy is not, and there's a time and place to be a monk or a nun, and that's fine, and that's actually welcomed when it's appropriate. But the vision for those of us who aren't monks and nuns is participating in life in a way that's satisfying and fulfilling and that actually blesses the world.